All right, another impromptu response video. Uh, some of the things are easy to talk about than post about. It takes me ages to post anything. We're talking about the website stuff. I mentioned a learning center idea, and I've got a few other ideas in the same vein that relate to pretty much a kind of community sharing of some sort of resources. So I think for the time being, having something where users could actually do like FAQs. Since that's in a private part of the board, I can't really log into it at the moment. So here we're talking about registration bots. So I went back and did a bunch of work on that. And the sign up page, you'll notice here I've got no waiting bots, which is the first time in years. And I'll show you the sign up page. So here I'm not logged into the board. Go to register. Now it's all basically the same, except I've got this I am a real human button. So you're going to enter your name, Kevin or something. BB. Right. And hit agree to the terms. Now if I hit register, it will actually tell you the page is not activated. That's because I haven't manually hit the I'm a real human. And if I hit register now, it would actually try and register me, but I'm not going to because I want to create junk accounts on the boards. So that's actually solved a problem, and it uses the same technique I've used a bunch of times. The form submission address here is not set in the code, whereas it used to be, which meant a bot could run through and see the submission address and see what fields that were required, spam them, and probably get through and create an account. They couldn't log in because the secondary part is that the board fires an email address, fires a verification at the email address. If they don't activate it, they can't log in because they're not activated. And once they're activated, they have to provide the secondary part on the login page. Go back to here, this thing here. Right. So without providing that, it won't let anyone log in. We just have to do it. There's no option about it, really. We have to have these things to prevent bots from getting in and spamming the living crap out of the place. So we have provisions on the forum for stopping swear words getting through, for example. A few times people have said to me, how come you edit our posts? And it's like, well, it's a filter. If you use, a bunch of 4-letter words on the boards, it'll insert I'm a spammer in those words' place. And that's not me. It's simply the board has a bunch of keywords that we've injected those in them. We have to do that because going back, there was post these links to adult sites, and so if you replace the keywords in those things, those links no longer work, and it becomes pointless for people or bots to post them. For us, we still have to have them, really. So I have tested this and it doesn't actually work, but has stopped a bunch of the last few days. There was 100 sign-ups in those couple of days, and they're randomized pretty much. They've got these random IP addresses, these random domains for email addresses. Usernames are all randomized. So I've clamped down on all those things. If it gets through, and if you can follow the logic for the registration page and get through, and then you've got to get past the updated there's a whole list of sites that are blacklisted, and there's keywords you can't use and registration names. Once you've registered, you can actually change those things, but from memory, anyway. So the conversation I put forward yesterday, wherever it was, about this learning centre concept. And this is a huge hurdle. It's teaching people what the thing is, how to use it, and how to get the best out of these things. Anyway, so the idea for the Learning Centre was we need something that can take the different cross sections of people and get them up to speed in the various areas. So you've got people who are coming at this from, they've never looked at programming before in their entire life, to people who've done a bit of programming before. Maybe they've done some basics somewhere else in the past. Maybe they've done a different language, perhaps, So they need a different sort of set of materials. You've got other people who are advanced programmers who maybe don't need a lot of the hand-holding stuff up front. So categorizing information is really critical. We have a lot of information already. We probably actually have enough information. When you combine conversations between, there are video tutorials, there are things in the help files, there are things on the website, there are things spread all across the place, but they're not laid out in an easily navigatable form. And you got, some content was made 5 years ago, some was made 10 years ago. Is it still up to date? Is it still being used? Who knows? One thing I like, rather than having FAQs and dry kind of question and answer stuff and trying to formulate all of the kind of questions that you would need to ask, you could have tests, and that people can sit down and take a bit of a look through. So getting people familiar with the terminology used, all that kind of good stuff, and those could be made by not just me, they can be made by anyone in the community, and they'd pretty much be in the same form as the FAQ. You'd have a list of questions, a bunch of multiple, maybe 5 different answers for each one. Maybe there's one straight right answer all the time, or maybe there's 2 variations of the same right answer, and maybe a handful of wrong answers, and it can randomize those every time the test is taken. And that would make sure that people aren't just running through selecting option 1 all the time. If you took the test again, you could get a different score. And hopefully people would go, well, I want to get 100% on these tests, whether it's 10 questions or 20 or 30 or whatever it's going to be. And that would be a real learning achievement for most people, I think, and beneficial to us. They're on the site, they're participating in their own education, and then once they get off the ground, they can help other people get off the ground. That's what we just don't have. In the past, we've had other sessions where we've had a handful of people on the ground to help others get going. I have mixed feelings about most things in terms of education, in programming terms. I've been involved in a bunch of these things over the years, and in more recent times I've been more active in Facebook and some beginner sections, and it's terrifying. The things people just can't have no concept of, it's just terrifying. So getting that right will be challenging. Anyway, Steve was talking about some stuff. Alright, so learning sounds good. This way we can have different topics and learn, test your knowledge. That's the idea. I think what can help also is demos, programs. You already have, there's heaps in the help files. But what I mean is a demo of how to start a program. That's pretty much what I've tried to do this in the past with video tutorials. and they don't work very well. People don't watch them. If you're not watching this content, you're not actually helping the channel at all. You're actually ensuring that it doesn't get shown by YouTube to anyone. It's really kind of frustrating. But we definitely need more of this stuff here. We need these things that take through from your first handful of lines to structuring your basic setup of your display, let's say, through to a central loop, making some simple comparisons with input devices, displaying some graphical stuff, building it up, and then maybe taking it further, replacing the simple graphics things with sprites or something like that. Whether it's done with a series of videos, a series of written tutorials, or a combination of any combination thereof, it's needed, and it needs to be in one place. So you go to this one place and you go, hey, here's the tutorial on how to make a Mario game from scratch, And it might not take you through the whole game, but it will take you through a point of a blank screen, getting to a point where you've got a character that runs around on a block tile map or something. Anyway, so what are we talking about? So examples here, we're talking about how to open a screen, hold it open, explain screen sizes, bits, color, adding a do loop, double buffer and sync, show variables types, show difference advantages, go subs, functions, light images, effects and disadvantages, user images, sprites. We have all of that. There's videos on this stuff, it's in the help files, there's countless examples everywhere, but they're not in a cohesive fashion because they weren't made together. They weren't made as one thing. They were made as reactions to certain things that needed to be done. Anyway, so what are we talking about next? Setting it's out on a page in a list. That grows a program so users can select what they need to add to their knowledge or just go from the start and okay, rather than just search help files, which usually have a bit of code to go through. Examples throughout the help files, great, but from beginner, maybe the help files are an absolute nightmare. We talked about, Empty and I talked about actually having help files that worked in two different modes. Absolute beginner mode and then intermediate and then sort of expert mode. So it would switch off most of the help files if you're in beginner mode and just focus on, hey, here's some variable stuff, here's some very basic display things. If you need more than that, you can upgrade to the intermediate ones, which would just be a switch. It would just toggle, switch on and off or whatever. That's pretty challenging. It's not challenging to do. It's challenging because of the size of the documentation. You've got 1,100 pages or something like that, 1,200 pages. And I know for a fact how long that took me to write. It's probably a year of my life writing that document. And that's not a joke. It's insane amount of time it took. Because I hate writing. I'm terrible at it. But, you have to do a lot of it. Anyways, the help files are definitely overwhelming. They need to be refined. It needs to be made easier for people. Any way we can do that. In particular, simple things that can be helpful up front. Whether it's I love this cross-referencing idea a lot. Having your tutorial examples here be able to cross-reference to the help files directly is a massive connection straight away. It takes away one level of friction between you and the student. You're paging through a simple loop that goes do CLS, print hello world, sync, end loop or whatever, and maybe you can hover over the text. Maybe you can do whatever you maybe right click and open up the page directly, and it's just one less element of resistance between you and learning. I think in many ways we underestimate people's ability to learn this stuff in some regard. Like, I mean, some people come along and they go, oh yeah, I can load an image, I can draw it over there, that's it. That's all they need to know. Other people, they're overwhelmed by the amount of information they're slapped in the face with. A lot of that stuff should be in the IDE. When you open up the IDE for the first time, you should have like a help panel down the side of useful topics. Do you want to go see some tutorials? Do you want to go see some this? And then be taken away for those things there. Anyway, what else we got? What else are we talking about? I'd be happy to write. This is Steve talking about this. Yeah, and you can approve it. And we've had a bunch of people write tutorials in the past. You might, like, the docs aren't written purely by me. They're written by a bunch of different people. And we need more of it. We need people to sit down, describe. If you can write your post in a forum post and have it be, make sense from top to bottom, then that would work perfectly on the website, because it won't be display. It'll have display elements or display styling that pretty much the forum has. Also, at the start list, you have how to download, how to install, any edition, explaining the difference, legacy stuff, explaining where to download. Yeah. Well, you need all those things to run anything DirectDraw on any version of Windows, pretty much ever since probably, Windows XP. We do have a tester that you can run up front and test. I'm not even sure the tester still works on modern systems. It was written, again, 10 years ago or something. But yeah, all valid, all good ideas. What frightens me a lot is the size of this stuff. It's not that you got lots of code to build. There's lots of data and content to manhandle and bring together that makes cohesive sense to people. You're effectively writing a huge book. How to become a good programmer in PlayBASIC from zero to hero. And that's no easy feat. I mean, there's a reason why books are hard to write, because they're difficult to get the balance right. And but we need more people writing content. We need more people picking through, and we need better stats on the back end of the website to work out what works for people and what doesn't. With the current sites, etc., we can't really get that kind of information from people. From a YouTube video, it's patently obvious what people want to watch and what people don't want to watch. Is it, things that are long, they won't watch them, even though it's probably full of stuff that you need to probably know at some point in your life. Even if it's just been gargling marbles for an hour. And that, it's critically important, I think, to see sometimes what people actually do when they're writing, and listen to what their take on how they're going to write something. So the Learning Edition, the Learning Center is really something, I don't know what we call it. I mean, who knows? It's just a name that came to me as I was writing the post. A lot of these Q&A things could be pretty much just jazzed up FAQ post examples. So initially it's probably will be more like question and answer, test yourself against the question answering sort of stuff. Tutorials could be definitely done a lot better. They would be done on website, and we could, once we have that information, once we have more of that information about who's looking at what, and how long they're looking at it for, are they coming back to the page 10 times to check something, do something, that's valuable information to have. At the moment, we don't know. Like I know how many times each page gets downloaded because gets viewed because they're logged. But as for what people are looking at in particular, we don't really have that information. And that's why we want to have, the secondary reason for having accounts is to try and work out the actual nitty-gritty data about what people want from this thing. Look, I've got my own aspirations with it. Here's a good example here about feedback. We've got 55 people, this thread's been viewed, and probably only two people have posted anything in it. It tells you a lot about the activity level of the forum, but also how important that is to people. Right? You can just go, well, it's not important to people, so I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't worry about asking people what they think, because I'll just do what I want anyway. For me, it's imperative that this thing has. It's simple to look at. It's simple to operate, but has a nice bang for your buck. But anyway, so web stuff. We know we need a tutorial section, a source code libraries kind of section there where users can append their sources and share them with other people. Even kind of thing where you can make a full release, or you can share a media thing across the website, so you can make a tile set for anyone else to use and share it with other people, and have it in a format that people can actually just use relatively easily, or whether it's a bitmap font or whether it's a sound set, or who knows. But that would be my goal for a lot of this kind of stuff here. We'd have like a community exchange center, and then we could do other things with that in the future. But it just comes down to how active the community is. If we can't build a community, there's no point doing it. Anyway, so I'm happy with the forum changes, and I'm glad that's sort of an idea people appreciate. Can't think of anything else that we need to go over. We just need to bring all of those threads together. The structure of the help files as they stand are not great because they're not really set up to be, very clear and concise. Here's a tutorial section, here's a command section. Because the builder is kind of, the way it works is, it builds the menu structures as well. It probably shouldn't do that, really. If the front end was just built with handmade HTML, you could just add them in whatever you wanted. My preference for that was actually to have the IDE build the front menus on demand. This would have meant that you could drop in other command sets and they would just appear in the documentation there for you straight away. But we didn't go that far with it. Even if you've got the local help files here on your computer, then having them link back to, whether it's a learning set of examples, or it's a source codes part, or whether it's a tutorial, or a series of videos that here or there, it is kind of horrifying, the level of the lack of views these things get, and the lack of growth on that channel. The PlayBASIC YouTube channel is just staggering. I'm not that surprised really, given we haven't done much in 5-6 years, and the projects we have been doing are sort of things I could just do in my spare time, pretty much. Or sort of offshoots of things, and the odd update here and there. But these new objectives here, they're all the big things, Build a new website, new IDE, new compiler. Let's just do it all. We're not talking about the next 6 months. We're talking about, maybe this time next year we might have something that has those elements in it. But future versions of PB will definitely they'll be changing in ways that you might not be expecting. Anyway, cool. Might chop this back together. Not going to do anything fancy with this. We'll just chop it together and put it on private so people can watch it on the forums. And if you're interested in the website development stuff, then chime in below. Be heard or don't be heard. And anyway, thanks for that. I'll see you later. Bye.